Welcome to Nicole's Tips. In this installment, we will look at Eka Pada Koundinyasana 1, which is a twisted arm balance, one-legged Koundinyas pose. So my tip number 1 is to stretch into splits. Tip number 2 is to do a twist called Brigid's Cross. Tip number 3 is to lean forward and kick up. So let's dive in. If you have a couple blocks on hand, grab them. Start with your right leg forward in a low lunge, the back knee down. I'm going to start with my blocks on the highest setting. Then shift your weight back so that your left thigh is vertical. Flex your right foot and stretch it forward. I like to curl the back toes under too. This just helps to ensure that the back hip isn't turning open as you stretch into splits, and you'll just ever so slowly crawl the front foot forward and crawl the back foot back. Maybe lowering the blocks if you're getting deeper. Every once in a while you want to make sure that the muscles in your legs are really engaged, so you kind of hug your feet toward one another, engage the muscles of your legs, and maybe stretch a little deeper. Just ensuring that as you come down into this splitting, that you're protecting the joints, especially the hip joints, by keeping some muscular engagement. Okay, and then slowly, carefully, coming back in, tuck your right shin back, and stretch your left heel forward, left leg forward. Flip the blocks back up to the highest setting if you started there on the first side. Again, your choice, but I like to curl the back toes under too. This just helps to keep the alignment of the back hip. Then you'll stretch the front leg forward, stretch the back leg back. Coming down into a splitting shape very slowly, little by little. Every once in a while, as you're coming down, hug your feet toward one another, toning the muscles, especially in the upper legs, to protect the hip joints. Using the blocks as they're helpful to support the shape. I'll just take a couple breaths there, stretching into this splitting Hanumanasana. Engage the muscles of your legs to come back up and out. Tuck your left shin back. So we stretch the legs into a splitting shape. Step 2. We'll come into the twist called Brigid's Cross. You'll start kind of in a low lunge, and then you'll bring your foot out to the side. So just like so. Come into a low lunge with your front foot forward. And you'll start to crawl the other foot out to the side. Okay? Until you're in this shape. All right, and just so you can kind of see what this is like, you want a 90-degree angle between your legs, and your legs are kind of twisting. But I also have the back toes curled under so that this leg isn't turned open. You're trying to keep the top of the back thigh pointing straight down toward the floor, and then you'll slowly lower down toward the floor. Should feel like a big stretch on your outer right hip. And then you might lower down to your forearms if that's feeling okay. You might even slide your arms forward and lower your chest and forehead down onto the floor. I'm going to stay right here. This is very similar to the shape that you'll be using in the twisted arm balance Eka Pada Koundinyasana 1. A couple more breaths. And then you'll slowly walk back up. To come out, use the strength of your arms and simply tuck back. Let's come through a downward facing dog to stretch it out. Then we'll come to the second side, stepping your left foot forward. You'll come into a lunge. You just start to heel toe your left foot to the right edge of your mat and off your mat. Once you get to a certain place, you'll start to straighten your left leg, keeping the back toes curled under. You'll slowly, slowly, slowly guide your outer left hip down. Again, keeping your right toes curled under. If that's feeling manageable, you can lower down to forearms, take it deeper. You might even stretch your arms forward and bring your forehead down to the floor. Your choice. And again, we're feeling the stretch in the outer left hip. Continuing to twist your chest to your left. Couple more breaths. And then you'll walk back up. Use the strength of your arms to guide yourself out of it. Press up, tuck your left leg back, and come into a downward facing dog to stretch it out. Okay, lower your knees down, sit back on your heels. Now it's time to start to put it together. You'll come into the low lunge and twist in the low lunge. As you lean forward, your legs will come into a position very similar to Brigid's Cross. You'll straighten both legs into the Brigid's Cross shape. And the last piece, so tip number 3, is to kick up. The back leg, back foot has to come off the floor. So in order to do that, you want to think of kicking up toward the sky, toward the ceiling. So let's do it together. You'll start with your right leg forward. And in fact, in a low lunge, in order to have our hands on our mat, we're going to come all the way toward the left edge of the mat. Then, take your right hand to your right thigh, lift your left arm up, twist, and hook your right arm outer edge of your left thigh. Place your hands down. Now, here's the most challenging piece. Watch. I'm going to take the back knee off the floor. I'm going to allow my knee to kind of pivot out to the side and turn my chest so I can get both my hands down. So a little bit of a drop down. Then I'll stretch the right leg straight. I'll lean forward and kind of twist my chest to the right, just like in Brigid's Cross. Lean forward, and then I'm going to lastly kick up with the back leg. Then you'll come out. So that's Eka Pada Koundinyasana 1. Let's do the second side. Turn this way so that you can see me well. And with your left foot forward this time, you'll come to the right edge of your mat. Bring your left hand to your left thigh. Lift your right arm up. Twist. Fold forward and hook. And again, you'll curl the back toes under. Lift the knee a little bit. Lean to get the hands down onto the floor. Then you'll crawl the left foot out and stretch it straight. Lean forward, twist your chest slightly to your left, and then kick up with the back foot. Okay. We have our second side of Eka Pada Koundinyasana 1. I hope that these tips help, and happy arm balancing.